Inhumans, cruel, bloodthirsty, and perverse. That's how the members of the Third Reich were characterized, undoubtedly with reason and justification. However, Nazi leaders also had families and got married, like any normal person, including Adolf Hitler. While some married for love and others for convenience, as happened with many people throughout history, what these figures had in common with their partners is that they defended, promoted, and embraced Nazi ideology and the Holocaust until the end of World War II and beyond. In this video, we're going to tell you about the stories of the women who married the most powerful Nazi leaders. What were their power ambitions and contributions to the Third Reich? How did some conform to the stereotype of the Nazi German woman, while others dared to give advice and orders to their husbands, and even to the Führer? Don't move from the screen for another installment of military history. Let's begin. We all know that Adolf Hitler needs no introduction. Recognized as one of the most evil and sinister figures in humanity, he provoked some of the darkest chapters of the 20th century history. What kind of woman could stand beside such a being of evil? Her name was Eva Braun, and she was Hitler's hidden lover for years, as well as, for less than 40 hours, also his wife. They married towards the end of World War II on April 29, 1945, until the following day when both she and Hitler committed suicide in the face of imminent German defeat in the war. Beautiful, childish, and vain, Eva Braun was born on February 6, 1912, and was always the ideal woman for the Führer. She was desperately in love with Hitler, but he neglected her, claiming that the Nazi cause was more important than anything else. The bond between them was quite toxic, as Braun, desperate for Hitler's attention, attempted twice. First, in 1932, she shot herself in the neck with her father's pistol, and then, in 1935, by taking 20 sleeping pills and coming close to death. Her tactic worked, as after each attempt, she earned more of the Führer's affection, who saw these actions as the ultimate expression of loyalty and sacrifice. Eventually, Eva Braun came to live with the Nazi leader, but their intimate life was far from ideal. Historians comment that they did not have sex, or at most, did so on rare occasions. According to research, Hitler took some form of primitive Viagra to try to satisfy his lover, 23 years his junior. The Führer's excuse was that he was married to Germany, and all his attention, interest, and vitality were invested there. That's why, among other reasons, he hid Eva Braun and their relationship from the public. Only the closest intimates of the Nazi leader knew about their relationship, while the population would only learn of the existence of this bond after the war. Evie, as Hitler affectionately called her, was a convinced National Socialist who never interfered in political decisions or contradicted the Führer, but it is said that she was consulted on some occasions by her partner. Finally, on the eve of the end, her position was formalized and Braun became Mrs. Hitler, despite the tragic ending they would share shortly thereafter. While Eva managed to marry the most coveted bachelor of the Third Reich, during the Nazi reign, the position of the First Lady of Nazi Germany was held by another woman. Magda Geral was born on November 11, 1901, blonde, intelligent, beautiful, and sophisticated, ideal to belong to the Germany governed by Nazism. From the beginning, she was a member of the National Socialist Party, where she met her future husband, Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, in September 1930. The attraction was immediate. Magda volunteered, and Goebbels made her his secretary. It didn't take long for them to start an exciting romantic affair in February 1931. However, the couple's relationship was marked by discomfort and distrust. Witnesses of the time recount that when Magda met Hitler, she immediately fell in love with him. The Führer also grew fond of her, but in a more friendly and selfless manner. Yet he still wanted to have her close as possible. Thus, he arranged for his future propaganda minister and Geral to marry in December 1931, with Hitler himself as the best man, which gave Magda Goebbels the honorary title of unofficial First Lady of Nazi Germany. This union, orchestrated by the Nazi leader, made the marriage exclusive and very important members of Hitler's inner circle. A convinced National Socialist and already politically active, Mrs. Goebbels appeared in the media as the perfect mother and wife, while her husband devoted himself entirely to his work. Mother of 6 children from their union, she perfectly understood the use of propaganda by the Nazi regime and had to uphold that standard of morality. The problem was that both she and her husband had several extramarital affairs. Joseph used his position as Nazi minister of propaganda to bed actresses, and his infidelities deeply hurt Magda until at one point she asked for a divorce. Hitler personally rejected her request and demanded that the couple reconcile. The Führer wanted to maintain the idealized image of the perfect German couple, and Magda admired, revered, and probably feared him too much to refuse. With the Nazis coming to power, Magda became the Great Lady of the Reich as a form of propaganda. Maintaining a painful and fictitious marriage was nothing compared to the terrifying end awaiting the Goebbels family. At the end of the war, knowing it was lost, and having agreed with the Nazi leader on the steps to follow, the couple decided to commit. But the tragedy did not end there. On the night of May 1st, Magda drugged her 6 children with morphine and poisoned them by slipping a cyanide capsule into each of their throats to prevent them from falling into the hands of the Soviets and growing up as outcasts in a non-Nazi society. After the children's deaths, she and her husband committed and were incinerated and buried. Although Magda Goebbels was considered by many as the most important female figure of the Reich, overshadowing Hitler's own mistress, she had a contender for this position. Emmy Sunman, born on March 24, 1893, was a German actress who married Hermann Göring, one of the most powerful Nazi leaders, Hitler's right-hand man, and commander-in-chief of the Luftwaffe. The wedding in 1935 was glamorous and ostentatious, designed to be used as a propaganda tool, with Adolf Hitler as the best man. The marriage was quite unhealthy, because Hermann Göring was obsessed with his deceased wife, Carina. This obsession manifested in acts such as burying her body in the house where he lived with Sunman and giving his new wife a photo of Carina as their first gift. Despite all that, Emmy wanted to marry Hermann Göring as the marriage allowed her a life filled with luxury and public attention. She enjoyed an opulent and lavish lifestyle that included mansions across Europe, yachts, and mingling with the most important figures of the Reich, which boosted her acting career. As Göring's wife, Sunman acted as the First Lady of the Reich, competing for this role with Magda Goebbels, which created tensions between them. Eva Braun was very jealous of Emmy and Magda's roles as First Ladies, as she felt that role naturally belonged to her. On the other hand, Göring's wife openly despised Hitler's mistress, and this animosity between them forced the Führer to forbid Emmy from participating in the gatherings at his residence that her husband attended. After the war, Hermann Göring committed suicide, leaving behind his wife and daughter, Edda, who were forced to spend a year in a labor camp. She died on June 8, 1973, at the age of 80, and was buried in the Munich Waldfriedhof Cemetery. Lena Fon Austin, wife of Heinrich Heydrich. The German Lena Fon Austin, born on June 4, 1911, met Navy officer Reinhard Heydrich in 1930, and only a few weeks later became engaged to him. Heydrich is infamously known as one of the architects of the Holocaust, along with Hitler planning the final solution to exterminate the Jews. In this case, the woman's influence over the man was significant, as Lena encouraged Heydrich, previously apolitical, to join the Nazi Party and also helped him prepare for the job interview with Heinrich Himmler. As unbelievable as it sounds, this woman was partly responsible for Heydrich, initially apolitical, becoming one of the most important and cruel Nazi ideologues of the Third Reich. The profile of the SS officer was rather reclusive, as he hated social activities and contact with his neighbors and colleagues. It was his wife who helped him change this trait. Heydrich's repayment was quite stingy, as he deceived his wife from day one and frequented brothels with prostitutes. Lena often felt lonely in the relationship and found living with her husband very difficult. However, she enjoyed the luxurious life that her proximity to Hitler provided for the couple. For this reason, she behaved like a Nazi princess, so much so that their home was a grand castle near Prague, illegally seized by the Nazis. Although her partner had a reputation for sadism, Lena HitIer was as perverse as her husband, as testimonies from the time recount that she abused her servants. Among other things, she ordered the SS guards who guarded the house to beat the domestic employees of Jewish or Gypsy descent while she watched. In 1942, the Czech resistance assassinated HitIer, leaving Lena and their 4 children living in the castle until the end of the war in 1945, when she hurriedly returned to Germany to avoid capture by the Soviets. Lena Fon Austin defended the reputation of her husband, Reinhard HitIer, until her death in 1985. We're nearing the end of this installment, and we didn't want to forget to ask you, which of these women do you think deserved the more dishonorable title of First Lady of the Third Reich? Leave your opinions in the comments below. That's all for today's video. We appreciate you staying until the end and look forward to seeing you in the upcoming installments of Military History.